All right, so for today, we're going to start looking at what we call the trigonometric functions. But first, let me review one thing. Let me go over something really quick. Let's say we have a right triangle. So by a right triangle, I know it's a triangle and one of my corners is 90 degrees. We know that the big side, it's called hypotenuse. Hypotenuse. So we know the big side is called hypotenuse. Now the other sides, one of them is called opposite and one of them is called adjacent. Opposite means far away from, and adjacent means close to. So once again, opposite means far away from. Think of when you're walking on the street, the opposite side of the street, that's the side away from you. Adjacent means close to or next to. So what we're going to be doing is sometimes one of our corners, besides the 90-degree angle, sometimes one of our corners we're going to label it. Either we're going to call it corner A. We're going to label the corner by calling a name of a corner. Or we can also label the corner with a Greek letter called theta. In this case, let me use theta. I'm going to label one of my corners with the Greek letter theta. So from that corner, I'm thinking the side that is far away from it, I call it opposite. So this is my opposite. And the side that it's next to my theta, my corner theta, I'm going to call that adjacent. So remember, hypotenuse is always the biggest side. From my corner theta, or I can call the corner A or B, whatever letter I want to give it to that corner. From the corner that I mark, opposite means the side that is far away from it, and adjacent means the side that is close to it. We're going to learn two ratios. Ratio means basically a fraction. We're going to learn the ratio of sine of theta, and we're going to learn the ratio that we call cosecant of theta. Cosecant of theta. Now, sine, the ratio of sine is going to be opposite over hypotenuse. The ratio for cosecant is the reciprocal. So basically flip the fraction. The ratio for cosecant is hypotenuse for cosecant is hypotenuse over opposite. So remember, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosecant is hypotenuse over opposite. Okay, why am I saying this? As a matter of fact, the way we're going to abbreviate this, for sine, I'm going to use the first three letters. So I'm going to abbreviate that as sine of theta. For cosecant, the abbreviation will be CSC theta. That is cosecant. So in our homework today, we're going to see things like this. Find the value of the trigonometric function indicated. Sine of theta. So I know the biggest side, from my 90 degrees, the side that is far away from my 90 degrees is my hypotenuse. I'm going to label it as H for hypotenuse. I see my corner theta. I see the corner that is labeled theta. From that corner, the side that is far away from it is my opposite, and my side that is next to it is my adjacent. And I told you guys that sine was opposite over hypotenuse. So I'm going to say my fraction, my ratio, for question number 1 is 7 over 17. Opposite over hypotenuse. Simplify the fraction if possible. In this case, I cannot simplify it, so it's just 7 over 17. That way you're going to type this will be 7 backslash 17. So 7 over 17. Let's take a look at question number 2. The biggest side is the hypotenuse. From theta, I see where theta is. The side that is far away is the opposite. 12 is the adjacent. I know sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So 9 over 15. Simplify the fraction if possible. I'm just going to divide each of my numbers by 3. So I get 3 over 5. The way you will type this will be 3 over 5. Opposite over hypotenuse for sine. Let's take a look about cosecant. For question number 3, let me label the big side hypotenuse. I know this is the opposite, this is the adjacent. For cosecant, I have hypotenuse over opposite. So 16 over 14. Simplify the fraction if possible. Let me divide each of my numbers by 2. So I'm just going to have it as 8 over 7. The way you will type this will be 8 over 7. You must type in the simplified version, simplified numbers. So that's why I said simplify your number if possible. Question number 4. The 20 is my hypotenuse. From theta, the side that is far away is opposite. That means that 12 is the adjacent. Cosecant, I know the ratio for cosecant is hypotenuse over opposite. So 20 over 16. Simplify the fraction. I'm just going to call this 5 over 4. That way you will type this will be 5 over 4. If you have rationals at the bottom, make sure you rationalize. Now, what do I mean with that? Let me come up with an extra example. Let's say I'm working things out and I have a fraction something like 7 over 5 radical 2. Remember we talked last week on how to rationalize, how to get rid of the square roots from the bottom. Let me multiply top and bottom by radical 2. So I get that as 7 radical 2 over. Now, I know these two radicals become a 2. The 5 that is at the front, I multiply 5 times 2, and I have a 10. So my answer will be 7 radical 2 over 10. Once again, if you have a rational at the bottom, you have a radical at the bottom, make sure you get rid of the radical sign. The way you get rid of the radical sign, you multiply top and bottom by that radical. In this case, radical 2. So once again, if you have a radical at the bottom, make sure you get rid of the radical sign. Now, how do you type that? If you happen to run into a question like that, you type in as 7 radical 2 over